Becoming a Death Eater was always a dream of Draco Malfoy's. He'd grown up hearing stories of Lord Voldemort and how he planned to create a pure-blooded wizarding society. He was raised to believe that families like his, pure-blooded, prestigious people, were above Muggleborns and that the mixture of magical and Muggle blood was an abomination. Draco wished he could one day take part in the Dark Lord's regime and help bring upon a glorious change. Compare that to the anxious, nervous wreck of a boy you've just seen at the beginning of this video, and you've basically got your polar opposites on your hands. So it leaves the question, where did it all go wrong for Draco? I mean, he wanted this. There's nothing he wanted more to do than his father proud and contribute, yet by the end of it all, he was a broken shell of a human being, sobered from the catastrophe of war. In today's video, I'm going to properly break down and discuss where it all went wrong for Draco and how the pressures of pleasing those around him sent him to breaking point, which in turn caused him to lose his identity entirely. Let's not wait any longer and get straight into today's video. All Draco had ever known was the beliefs his upbringing instilled upon him. He was a Malfoy, one of the oldest families of the wizarding world. For centuries, the Malfoys were pioneers in their attempts to create a pure-blooded wizarding society. His father Lucius was of the firm belief that the world would have been better off had Lord Voldemort survived, as the Dark Lord came extremely close to a complete takeover with Lucius as his second in command. It was heavily laid upon Draco that he should only associate with those on his own level, that the current situation of Hogwarts teaching Muggleborns is a disgrace, and only for his mother's objections, Draco would have attended Durmstrang Institute in Eastern Europe, a magical school that does not accept Muggleborn students. So Draco's personality is heavily influenced, and it shows judging from his first few years at the school. He was a bully and a strategist at the same time. He sought to befriend Harry Potter in order to appear even more prominent as an associate of the boy who lived. And remember, at this point, Lucius queried if he was actually destined to be Voldemort's replacement. Only when Harry rejected his friendship did we see the first real nasty side of Draco. He belittled Ron Weasley, made fun of Neville, and let's not forget his treatment of Hermione Granger, as he really invested himself into the pure blood culture. He was the first to call her a mudblood and openly stated to Harry and Ron, of whom he believed were Goyle and Crabbe, that he hoped Hermione gets killed by the monster of Slytherin. For me, I feel this was the first real sign of Draco's commitment to its core beliefs. I mean, to want another student to die because they don't have the same magical blood as you do, well, that says potential Death Eater all over. He continued his bullying and harassing ways, as did his father, with his meddling in Hogwarts affairs, like trying to get Buckbeak executed among other immature acts, until everything Draco dreamed of finally happened when the Dark Lord returned to power at the end of his 4th year of school. This is what Draco had waited for. This is what he wanted, what his father wanted. The Dark Lord finally returning to resume his assault on the magical world in order to transform it into the society it deserves to be, a pure-blooded one. Draco was finally able to pledge himself to the Dark Lord in order to contribute to the cause. He knew he'd have to harm people, threaten people, use as much force as needed, and he genuinely believed it wouldn't be a problem. He was used to hexing and jinxing his usual bullying victims and targets, so what's so difficult about upping his game for results that actually mattered, for results that meant a lot more than the personal satisfaction he got from bullying? The issue with Draco Malfoy is that he always ran his mouth. He always said things that he could never really back up. Basically, he always talked the talk, but when it came down to it, could he walk the walk? Could he really step up and show the strength, maturity and composure needed to get any job done that was required of him? I don't believe Draco expected to be thrown in at the deep end so soon and so young. I think he believed he would be learning closely from Voldemort and assigned to a more experienced Death Eater in order to see firsthand what it was really like and what was required of him. His father's failure obviously played a big part in Draco's heavy involvement as a Death Eater so soon after his initiation. On one side, the Dark Lord wanted to punish Lucius by pushing Draco to complete a task that he knew he would fail, which would humiliate Draco and most likely result in his own severe punishment or even death at the hands of the Dark Lord. On the other side, Draco felt so uneasy at the thought of his father in Azkaban and the Malfoy name having lost all of its credibility. He was desperate to prove himself to Voldemort to show he could get the task done, kill Albus Dumbledore, restore his family to prominence and regain the respect his father had lost. He was initially up for the challenge. He wanted to kill the Hogwarts headmaster. It's what was asked of him, and had he actually gone through with it, he would have become a highly respected Death Eater and earned his seat at the table. However, Draco had seen a few things. He witnessed firsthand what the wrath of the Dark Lord was like, what it means to fail him, that he would be held accountable for his actions, and he would become a criminal. On top of that, there was just one small issue: the fact that Draco Malfoy was not a killer. It's true he had his father's head, but he had his mother's heart. He didn't have it in him to truly end someone's life, and that was certainly the case with Albus Dumbledore. The headmaster even recognised the half-hearted attempts on his life with poisoned mead and the cursed necklace, of which the boy hoped would reach the headmaster through others' hands. The task took its toll on Draco throughout his 6th year. He had become anxious, weary, and the stress of failure caused him to lose weight and obtain a gaunt-like appearance. He was only 16, not even an adult. This was not the life he dreamt of. This wasn't the glorious return of Voldemort that he had hoped for. Times were dark, cold, there was a flatness in the air. Draco constantly worried about harm coming to his parents, especially his father, who was on very thin ice with the Dark Lord. He knew within himself that he couldn't kill someone, but if he didn't, the consequences were going to be severe, and to be honest, that trauma pretty much broke Draco. It broke his spirit, it broke him as a person, and this was his only first real experience of being out in the field as a Death Eater. It was at this point he knew what Voldemort was. He knew he was a monster who would lash out at any given moment, and that his idea of creating a new world was not the one Draco was expecting. He was also well aware that killing Dumbledore would all but seal the Dark Lord's victory, as he was basically the only one who matched the Dark Lord's power and had a chance of stopping him. I also wonder if Draco was aware that killing would split his soul and affect him transitioning into the afterlife. If he actually did go through with it, the severe remorse, I believe, would have healed his soul eventually. Thankfully, Severus Snape stepped up at the right moment and completed the task for him, sparing Draco the unwanted effort. At that point, Draco had completely checked out, but he was very clever about it. He knew it was Harry at Malfoy Manor, and still acted as if he wasn't sure at this point. With Dumbledore gone, he knew Harry was the last and only chance of defeating the Dark Lord. The thing is, he didn't entirely count on it, which is why he confronted the trio in the room of requirement along with Crabbe and Goyle. Draco just didn't want to get his hands dirty in case Harry actually won. It was quite clever, but also self-centered. What is for certain is that Draco wasn't trying to stop Harry for Voldemort. He was just trying to keep his parents safe from harm, and it's fitting how that was their same line of thought too, as his mother lied to Voldemort in order to find out if Draco was alive. It really was a case of head versus heart when it came to Draco being a Death Eater. Anyway guys, with that being said, that is my explanation on why Draco Malfoy failed as a Death Eater. As usual, if you want to let me know any sort of additional opinions, as usual, if I've left anything out, then please let me know in the comment section below, or just let me know your opinion. Thanks again, and I'll see you all very soon.